All right, guys, so we're going to go over a little bit of a tutorial on how to download Metatrader 5 and how to set up a demo account and how to use a few of the basic features. This is going to be on an iPhone, and so the Android will be a little bit different, but you should be able to follow along and kind of figure it out on an Android if necessary. I'm also going to go a little bit quick here to make the video short, but if you need to rewind or pause, then please do so. So we're going to go to your App Store or Google Play Store, and then you're going to search for Metatrader 5. So I'm just going to start typing in here, and then we see down here the third one, Metatrader 5. And then it's going to be this one right here at the top of the screen. So we're going to go ahead and download that. And then once it's downloaded, you want to open it. We're going to hit fine on the notifications. That's up to you. So just hit accept here. It wants to set up a demo account for us. We don't want to do that with the one they offer. I'm going to show you how to do a different one. So I'm going to hit cancel. Okay, so what we do want to do next is set up a demo account. As you can see here, it's got one on here, a broker called MetaQuotes. We're not going to use that one. Okay, so up here in the search bar, I'm going to tap there and I'm going to search for Alpari. Okay, you can check the spelling here on the screen. And once we have it pulled up, we're going to tap on the name. And then we're going to tap at the top there where it says demo account. And then in here, you got to put a first name and a last name. It can be real or fake, doesn't matter. And we've got to put in a date of birth. So I'm just going to pick a random one. And then you do got to put a phone number in here. And then you have to put something for an email, but it does not have to be real or accurate. And then down here, the more important part. So where it says account type, you're going to leave that where it is. Okay, it's going to be that first choice at the top. So right there where it says account type, we're going to leave it as is. And then where it says leverage, 1 to 100 is good. So you can leave that there. And then deposit, right now it says 100,000 US dollars. So we want to make that more realistic. So the lowest amount we can do is 3,000. So we're just going to select 3,000 here. And then now we can hit accept and then register. Okay, now you can copy this information to your clipboard or take a screenshot if you'd like. Now for me, I'm just going to go ahead and hit start here at the bottom. Okay, so now the demo account broker is set up, and I'm going to go through what some of these things mean. So down here at the bottom left, we got 5 different little tabs or menu items. So the one on the left is highlighted right now, and that's our quote screen. This shows us all of the trading pairs we have set up on our MetaTrader. And we're going to change those in a little bit, okay? And then the next tab over to the right is called chart. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to show you the chart. Now your chart might look a little different, might have grid lines on it. The candlesticks might be a little different color. The background might be black instead of white. But basically you should be seeing a chart. And then the next tab is called the trade tab, and this is where you can see that we have our $3,000 account balance of our fake demo trading money. And then if you had any opener trades going on here, you'd see those in here active. And then the next tab over is history. So once we place trades and we close them, they'll show up here in our history. And then to the last one on the right is the settings, and we'll go over some of the things in there. So let's start over here back on the left where it says quotes. Okay, and I'm going to kind of scroll a little bit here. You can see there's a bunch of pairs here for XAG and XAU. We're going to get rid of pretty much all of those. Okay, so in the upper right hand corner, there's a little pencil button. We're going to tap that to edit, and we're just going to select everything, and then we're going to delete. Okay, we don't need all those. Okay, and then now we're going to go in and we're going to add things that we do want. So for the purposes here, I'm going to add a few things. I'm going to add Bitcoin. Now, typically, Bitcoin is sometimes indicated or denoted by BTC, but with this particular broker, it is actually called Bitcoin. Okay, so that first Bitcoin there, I'm going to select that, and now it's been added. Okay, so I'm going to hit the X at the top so that I can type in my next instrument that I want to add. So I'm going to stay with crypto and I'm going to add Ethereum. So I'm going to type ETH, and there's Ethereum. Now I'm going to hit the X again. I'm going to add one more crypto, XRP, otherwise known as Ripple. So I'm going to spell Ripple, and I'm going to select the little bubble there, and then I'm going to hit the X. Now we're going to add a couple of Forex pairs. As you can see here also, there are different folders where you can go and select trading pairs from the list. So right there at the top where it says Forex, if I click that, now it's going to break down the menu to majors, minors, and exotics. So if I click majors, it's going to show me different majors. Now we can add them from here. So I'll click the first one, AUD USD, and I'll click the second one, Euro USD. Okay, so those have been added. Okay, now I'm going to back out of here and hit cancel. And then I'm going to go back up to the search, and then I'm going to add one more Forex pair, but this time I'm going to do it by searching instead of going through the folders. So I'm going to go with the British pound and the Japanese yen, which is GBPJPY. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and select the bubble there and then hit the X. And now I'm going to add a couple other things. I'm going to add gold. So XAUUSD. And then I'm going to add a couple indices. So I'm going to add US 30. Okay, and I'm going to select that first one. And then I'm also going to add NAS 100 and select the first one. Okay, now I'm going to hit the X, and then I'm going to hit cancel. And now you see everything has populated that I added. Okay, now how do we take a trade? I'm going to jump over to the center tab where it says trade, and we see that we have our dollars amount there. Okay, we can trade from this screen, and I'm going to show you that just for an example, but I'm going to show you the actual preferred way besides this way. So to trade from this screen, we hit the plus button in the upper right, and then at the top it says XAGUSD. If we tap that, we can change it to one of these other things that we've added. Okay, so I'm going to hit US 30 just for example. And then right here below US 30, it says market execution. So the way I trade is scalping, which is typically with market execution trades. Okay, but if you wanted to use a limit order, then you could change there from a buy limit to a buy stop to a sell limit and so forth. So I'm going to click where it says sell limit. I'm going to put it back on market execution. And then down below that, we have some numbers. These are lot sizes, okay? So you should have already learned what this is about, or you will learn about this in your training, okay? But this is where you change the size of your trade and how large it is. So for right now, I'll just leave it on 0.01. And then I'm gonna, just below that where it says stop loss, you could enter a stop loss. So right now, the current price between the bid and the ask is 44,694 and 44,697. It's kind of moving around there. So for a stop loss, I could put 44,600 just for example. And for a take profit, I could put 44,700. And then I could hit buy. That would put me in a trade. Okay, so I'm currently in a trade. Now we're just going to go ahead and close this. I've just showed you how to execute a trade on this screen. So if we long press where it says US 30 by 0.01, if we long press that, we're going to get this menu here, which allows us the opportunity to modify the trade, to go to the chart, to put in another trade. Okay, but we're going to just go ahead and hit close. And then it's going to take you to one more confirmation screen where if you click the orange button with a 2-cent loss right now, then it'll close. Now we can see there's no more active trade on the screen. But if we go to the history tab, one tab over on the bottom, you can see there that we have a history of one trade. We lost a penny on the trade, and then there was actually a commission of 2 cents. So we're down a total of 3 cents in the account. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the preferred way that I like to trade. So on the bottom, you want to click on the chart tab. Okay. Now, if you notice in the upper left-hand corner, it says M1, which means we're looking at the 1-minute chart. So if I tap up there where it says M1, I can change that to any type of chart. I can change it to the 5, the 15, the 30, etc. Okay. So I'll change it to 5 here just to show you. Okay, this is now the 5-minute chart. I'm going to go ahead and put it back to 1. Now, also right below the M1, you can see it says XAGUSD, which is silver, but I don't want that. I want to trade US 30. So I'm going to tap where it says XAG, and I'm going to get my list of different trading pairs again, and I'm going to select US 30. Now it's going to load the US 30 chart, and as you can see, there is a little up and a little down arrow. Okay, one candle back. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that is the previous trade that I just entered and exited. Okay, so what I like to do is take a trade from this screen. Now let me just tell you how you can also manipulate this screen to make it easier to see. So if you pinch or squeeze or zoom out on the screen itself, you can change how much screen you're seeing, how many candles you're seeing in the screen. Okay. And then also on the right hand side where the price access is, if you drag down on that, you can kind of shrink it down. And if you drag up on it, then you're stretching it out. Okay, so you can do whatever you like there. Okay, so to take a trade from here, I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and hit a buy. Okay, so up here in the upper right, the furthest icon on the right is going to open up these buy and sell buttons. Okay, so if I hit a buy and a sell here, it's going to be market execution, which means it's instantly going to happen, a buy or a sell. Okay, and then I have my lot size in the middle. I can change that if I want. So let's do a 0.10 this time instead of a 0.01. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the buy button on the right. Now it's going to show you this the very first time you do this to allow one-click trading. And the reason it wants to confirm that you want to allow it is because if you do that by mistake, you might enter a trade that you don't want to if you have one-click trading on and you don't want it on. But I like to have it on, and so I'm going to toggle the little I accept down there at the bottom, and then I'm going to hit the blue accept. Now I have to do the trade again, so I'm going to hit buy in the upper right. Now I've gone ahead and executed a buy. Now as you can see, the buy line appears on the screen in blue, and it appears a little bit further up than the current price because that's what spread does, and you'll learn that in your training. Okay, now one cool thing about trading on here is that we can set a take profit and a stop loss. So I'm going to tap on that buy line, and then at the bottom there, do you see where it's got an X, and then it says close, and then it says SL and TP. So I'm going to tap on the TP, and it's going to put this green line on the screen. And since we're in a buy, the TP has to be higher than the current price. So I'm just going to drag it up to here. And then if that's where I like my TP to be, I can hit the arrow at the bottom, the blue arrow, and then modify, and that's going to confirm that I've set my TP up there. Now we need to set a stop loss. So I'm going to tap the buy line again, and then at the bottom, this time I'm going to hit SL, and now I'm going to drag down. So I want my stop loss down here below this low, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the blue arrow at the bottom again, and it's going to lock in my stop loss. I just got to hit modify on this next screen. And now you can see I have my buy line where I entered the trade, and then I have the stop loss down at the bottom, and I have a TP up on top. Now we can also modify our take profit and our stop loss lines. If I just tap on the stop loss line, I can drag it wherever I want on the screen. And then once I'm done dragging it, I can hit that blue arrow again in the bottom right and then modify again. And then I'll show you the same thing with the TP. So I'm going to tap where the TP is, and I'm going to drag it all the way down here. And if I win this trade, it's going to be a very small amount. So I'm going to hit the blue arrow and I'm going to hit modify. Okay. So now we have a trade set. Now, if you just let this trade go and you don't do another thing, it will either hit your stop loss and you will lose the trade, or it will hit your take profit and you will win the trade. Okay. Or you could manually close it. Now, if you want to see the value of how much you might lose if it did hit your stop loss, you just tap on the stop loss line and it says there minus $2.84. Okay. And then the TP actually says 12 cents. Okay. Now, obviously, the further we drop that, the bigger the loss would be, right? So right around here, it's $5. You know, way up here, it's only $1 if we got it this close. Okay. But we're just going to leave it where it was. All right, now we're going to go ahead and go to the next tab over, which is trade. And we're going to see that we have the trade running here again. Now I'm going to go ahead and just close this by tapping on it and hitting the close button. And then I got to hit this orange line to confirm that we want to close. Okay. Now I want to go over a couple other things here on the chart. Now up at the top, there are little crosshairs. On the top left, there's 3 icons in the middle, and the left one are little crosshairs. So that helps us pinpoint like a certain price on the chart if we want. As you can see, the very bottom of this wick here, you can see the price to the right, so that's helpful. And also you can measure a distance. If I drop the crosshairs down here and then I tap up here at the top, it's measuring that distance. It's telling me it's 439 points or 43.9 pips. Okay. And I can drag that and measure however I want. So that's useful. Okay. Now we're going to click the crosshairs again to get rid of it. And then in the center, there is, it looks like an F, like a mathematical function F. I'm going to click that, and this is where you can add indicators, okay? So we're not going to go through the indicators, but you would add a plus here, and then you would choose from different indicators here that you could add to the chart, okay? We're not going to do that. So we're going to go back out, and we're going to back, and then the last thing we can do is at the top, the icon on the right with the little shapes. These are drawing tools, okay? So if you wanted to draw some tools on your chart, you select that. And let's just say we wanted to draw a support line. I'm going to hit the horizontal line here. And then I'm just going to put it here on the chart, and I can move it wherever I want. And if I wanted that line to be there, then I can drop it right there and it'll stay there, okay? And then if I didn't want that line there anymore, I could hold it and then hit delete. Okay, so that's how you put drawing tools on the chart. Now, we're going to go over a couple settings. So over to the bottom right where it says settings, you can just leave everything default if you want, okay? But down here towards the bottom where it says charts, these are some settings that you might be interested in changing. Now, right now it's on a candlestick chart, which you probably want to leave. And then over here are some different things you can add to the chart. Now, trade orders that may or may not be defaulted on when you set yours up. But if you want to see the little arrow where you took a trade and the little arrow where you exited a trade, then this toggle has to be on, okay? And then if you want to be able to see your stop loss and take profit levels, that has to be on, okay? Actually, this first toggle shows you where your trade entered. It's the second toggle that shows you where the arrows where you entered and then where you exited the trade are. Okay. And then trade history, that's going to leave the trades showing on your chart so that you can go back and see them if you want that toggle on. And then obviously the one-click trading, we already toggled that on the chart screen, and that's why it's on here. And then down here at the bottom where it says colors, this is where you can change the color of your candles, the color of the background of your chart, and so forth. Okay, so we're not going to do any changes there, but that is where you could do it if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and hit charts up in the upper left, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit the back arrow there. And I'm going to go back to the quotes tab at the bottom left. Just to go over also, in the upper left-hand corner, there's like a little hamburger menu. And if we select that, it kind of simplifies and shrinks everything, okay? And then in the upper right, there are some columns we can add to see. And one of the ones you might want to see there would be the spread, okay? So as you can see, we have spread down here at the bottom, and I'm going to hit the plus sign, and then I'm going to go back, and now we can see the spread in the right-hand column for each of our trading pairs, okay? Now, that'll conclude today's training. This is just to get you set up on a demo account and get you learning the basic functionalities, how to enter a trade, how to close a trade, how to set a stop loss either manually or on the chart. Thank you.